Tonight, 28 abducted students of Bethel Baptist High School, Kaduna, regained freedom after 20 days in captivity. SARAB asked court to declare National Broadcasting Commission's gag order on reporting terrorists illegal. Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, raises concern over vaccine inequality and continuous importation in Africa. All Progressives Congress wins all 57 local government chairmanship seats in Lagos and all 20 council seats in Ogun State. And 9 terrorists killed as boulders fall from the hilltop in northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. Plus sports news. After spending 20 days in the kidnappers' den, 28 more students of the 121 kidnapped from the Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State have regained their freedom today. The students were recovered by the school management at a forest in Chikun local government area after they were released by the bandits who kidnapped them from their school on July 5th. 3 of them were released last week, bringing the total number of those released so far to 31, while 90 others are still in the forest with the bandits. It was a moment of mixed feelings for parents and students.
It's freedom at last for these 28 students of Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State who were released in the early hours of Sunday. They were kidnapped by bandits from their hostels on July the 5th and spent exactly 20 days in captivity. 2 soldiers who tried to repel the bandits were killed during the incident. It's a mixed feeling at the school for waiting parents as the buses conveying the students arrived at school premises. The very point where their nightmare began. But they are not the same again. Most of them are looking pale and traumatized. Others sustained swollen limbs and can no longer walk unaided, an indication that they may have been maltreated in the forest by their abductors. For the parents whose children were among the 28, it's a sweet, sad moment as they reunite with their children. The sight of her daughter overwhelms this middle-aged woman, making her lose consciousness. Those whose children did not make the list could not hide their emotions as they weep profusely and resort to prayers. The conditions for the release of the students is still unclear, as the school authority denies paying any ransom, or even, as they say, not as much was done by security agencies.
We call on all the people that knew about security apparatus and to assist us with information. How could we reach these people? What can we do? We did all that in order to be able to have these children. Finally, the children of today that were released, they were just released by the people who abducted them. They kept them in a place, and we went there and found the children there and picked them in our vehicles and brought them. We as a church, we do not believe in ransom, and we will not pay ransom as a church because it is not right to go and pay people who have done what is wrong.
A spate of kidnapping targeting schools have taken place in Kaduna State in recent time, with no fewer than 4 schools attacked by bandits and students taken away. Most have later been freed after ransoms were reportedly paid, while some were rescued by security operatives. Others paid, sadly, with their lives.
Okay. Elisha,
Security situation in many parts of the country is still a concern to everyone, and the prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Samuel Uche, is also lending his voice to the call for an urgent solution to the crisis. He wants the federal government to be proactive in taking critical decisions to addressing the current security challenges before it snowballs into a precarious situation. The prelate made the call in an interview with Channels Television in Lokoja, the Kogi state capital.
The menace of security challenges borders on bad leadership. No matter how you see it, it's bad leadership. Number one, why are our borders porous? How does a government at state level, local government level, or federal level allow for the proliferation of arms, small arms? It is as a result of inefficiency. So as a result of being docile, as a result of not knowing what to do, confusion. The major expectation from citizens is that government is there for security of life and property. Any government that fails to secure life and property has failed. No matter how they politicize, that government has failed. And that government should either change or leave the stage to allow good things happen. Because your government is a reflection of your army, your police, your civil defense, your immigration, your customs, and your even civil anything, security. The body language of the leader that determines their efficiency or inefficiency. So if security is no longer tight, government has failed. That government has failed.
For the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, and the Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development, a recent directive by the National Broadcasting Commission to broadcast stations in the country on the reportage of activities of terrorists is illegal, and they're asking the Federal High Court to stop the directive. The rights group is asking the court to issue an order to the NBC to withdraw the directive, which asks journalists and broadcast stations to stop reporting details on terrorist attacks and victims. SERAP describes it as unlawful and inconsistent with the Nigerian Constitution of 1999 as amended. The statement reads in part, the NBC directive fails to establish a direct and immediate connection between the reporting by broadcast stations and purported risks to national security and peace. The NBC is using national security as a pretext to intimidate and harass journalists and broadcast stations and to violate Nigerians' rights to freedom of expression and access to information. In a letter dated July 7th, the NBC directed radio and television stations not to glamorize the nefarious activities of insurgents, bandits, and kidnappers in their reports. Those joining the suit are President Muhammadu Buhari, the Minister of Information and Culture, and the National Broadcasting Commission. In other news, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, is worried about the continuous import of vaccines into Africa and says it's time for these vaccines to be manufactured on the continent to reduce vaccine inequality in the face of the global pandemic. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala was speaking at the annual National Diaspora Day celebration in Abuja, where she said the WTO is leveraging and working with vaccine manufacturers and supporting them to invest in Africa. July the 25th every year has been set aside by the federal government to celebrate Nigerians in the diaspora and their contributions to national development. Members of civil society organizations, government officials, and the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, joined this year's celebration virtually. One focal point of discourse here is diaspora voting come 2023.
Make it possible for INEC to be able to conduct diaspora voting when INEC feels that the infrastructure is ready and they are ready to go ahead. And we hope and plead with the National Assembly that as they embark on amending the Constitution, we plead with you to make it possible for our millions of brothers and sisters to vote.
They are contributing a lot. If we are spending $20 billion plus into that economy as remittances every year, why can't we vote? Even if we are not sending anything, we are Nigerians.
Speaking on various issues ranging from the production of vaccines in Africa and the economy, the WTO DG says the organization is working with companies to improve Nigeria's economy and the actualization of the African free trade.
So many people vaccinated in the developed countries and only a small percentage in Africa or developing countries. And the issue is how do we improve or upskill the vaccine production so we can make more? How do we even shift the production to African countries? And what I'm trying to do is leverage that to actually work with companies, to persuade them that, look, if we work with you to monitor supply chain and flow smoothly, remove export restrictions, can you invest in our countries?
The federal government also promises to come up with policies geared towards ensuring the well-being of those in the diaspora.
The federal government of Nigeria will do all that it takes to provide an enabling environment through policies and programs tailored to support you and your well-being.
The National Diaspora Policy, a document to harness the goodness of those in the diaspora as agents of change for the development of Nigeria, is presented to the public. As NIDCOM celebrates the annual Diaspora Day in recognition of those living abroad, they are applauded by all for remittances to the country, but asked to do more to develop Nigeria. The drama that attended the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by both houses of the National Assembly was unnecessary. That's the view of the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. Governor Fayemi told Channels Television's Ladi Akeredolale on our current affairs program Newsnight that the drama gave the impression that the lawmakers had something to hide. He, however, says this may not be the case, going by the conversations he had with his state's representatives, particularly in the Senate.
I feel that the hullabaloo around this could have been avoided. Partly because I think it's something we must not over-regulate, particularly the activities of an independent commission. If I had the opportunity to have been asked, and which I did have some discussions with people about this without a doubt, I would have actually argued strongly that we leave this matter for the Electoral Commission to handle, rather than micromanage the Electoral Commission or bring in the Nigerian Communications Commission or the National Assembly as the final arbiter on what happens to electronic transmission. I frankly think things could have been handled differently, and it is unfortunate that it's been handled the way it's been handled. It's given an impression that there is some surreptitious hidden agenda, which there isn't. And when I've spoken to our own representatives, and I'm talking about Ekiti representatives in the National Assembly now, they've tried to explain themselves. I look for us, particularly in the Senate, which was where it was more contentious, that it was more a vote not against electronic transmission, but for an amendment that was brought before them. You could say it's a distinction without a difference.
You can watch more on the interview with Dr. Fayemi on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, July 26th, 2021 at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. In part two, after the break, All Progressives Congress wins all local government chairmanship seats in Saturday's election in Lagos and Ogun states. Election observers allege abysmal voter turnout and irregularities. Join us again. welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 28 abducted students of Bethel Baptist High School with Kaduna regained freedom after 20 days in captivity. SERAP asks courts to declare National Broadcasting Commission's gag order on reporting terrorists illegal. Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, raises concern over vaccine inequality and continuous importation in Africa. All Progressives Congress wins all 57 local government chairmanship seats in Lagos and all 20 council seats in Ogun State. And 9 tourists killed as boulders fall from hilltop in northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. Politics now. The candidates of the All Progressives Congress have been declared winners of yesterday's local government election in 20 local government areas of the state. Declaring the results at the state headquarters of the commission in Abeokuta, the chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission, Babatunde Oshibodu, says the candidates were declared winners, having complied with the provisions of the Constitution. The main opposition, the People's Democratic Party, had announced it was pulling out from the poll before Saturday. Meanwhile, the state government has announced that the newly elected council of officers will be sworn in tomorrow.
APC won all the local governments. All 20 local government chairmen are APC. In all the total 20 local governments, the total number of votes cast is 396,641. That is 396,641. Magnanimous in victory. Those who did not win, do not be sore losers. In 3 years' time, there will be another opportunity. Go back home, re-strategize, and hope that you will do better next time.
The APC repeated a similar feat in Lagos, where its candidates also won in all the 57 local government areas and local council development areas where elections were conducted yesterday. But reactions are already trailing the polls, as a group of election observers, Yaga Africa, which deployed observers across the state, have been speaking on the outcome of the exercise. The group's findings reveal an abysmal voter turnout and some electoral irregularities.
Voter participation in these elections is abysmally low, as citizens showed lack of interest in the process. This presents a disturbing trend in a state like Lagos with 6,570,291 registered voters, and it poses a major challenge to the practice of democracy in the state and in Nigeria at large.
Reports from Badagry, Etiosa, Ikorodu, Kosofe, and Lagos Island LGA results collation centers revealed that the official results were either partially announced or not announced. Last year, officials in Lagos Island Collation Center did not conduct the results collation.
Good morning and welcome to
the group also makes recommendations on how to improve the quality of local government elections and local government administration in Nigeria.
Yaga Africa calls on LASIEC to investigate reports of electoral fraud and malpractices, especially perpetrated by their officials, and ensure disciplinary actions are duly taken. The electoral law should be reviewed to introduce a system of review of results declared by the returning officers which were not declared voluntarily or which were not declared in accordance with the electoral law and guidelines. Yaga Africa calls on the National Assembly to, as a matter of urgency, pass the bill amending the Constitution to guarantee local government autonomy and independence.
The local government elections in Lagos and in Ogun State are over, but what remains is the process or the lack of progress that faces the newly elected leaders. Tonight, to share insights on local governance concerns across the Federation is data and information consultant Bamajide Ugusowo. As usual, a pleasure having you here.
Good evening, Amarachi.
And I know you monitored the elections yesterday, so you do have some thoughts, especially about voter turnout. Were you surprised with did you have any expectations for yesterday?
You know, nothing should surprise you about Nigeria anymore. So for me, the first is no surprises. The second is monopolium. That is what the Greeks will say. The Englishman will say monopoly. And all evidence from scholars and research shows that whenever you have monopoly, either in the private sector or in the public sector, what you will have is inferior products, in this case, inferior governance. What you will expect and what makes governance effective is competition. What we are driving towards now, based on the results from the election, is a monopolistic tendency. Again, using the Greek word monopolium, whereby one state controls the same party at the state and at the local government level.
You don't think that probably has to do with the turnout?
Not necessarily. There's no evidence to show that. Yes, the evidence we currently see shows low voter turnout, but voters still turned out. But based on the patterns and the trends of the elections, it's no surprises that, again, no surprises in quotes that one party swept the polls in the same states. Make no mistake, this doesn't mean that the elections were not free of fear. What it speaks to is what sort of quality of governance should be expected if we have a system where only one party controls everything and there isn't room for competition or there isn't room for partisan deliberations. Again, the first is no surprises. Second, monopolium. But the third is there's some good and bad news, Amachi. Let's start with the good news. The good news is exactly on this day, the 25th of July in 1978, the world witnessed its first test tube baby, IVF, was born on this day. While that was going on this day in 1978, another discussion was going on. It was about the quality of local governments. Local governments in Nigeria then were in the test tube. The bad news is it's now more than 4 decades since local governments have been put in the test tube in Nigeria, and they are still yet to be born. Now, what do I mean by they are still yet to be born, Amarachi? Let's take a look at what the Constitution says in Section 2, subsection 2. It is very clear. Nigeria shall be a federation consisting of states and the Federal Capital Territory. In other words, the Constitution is not clear about the status of the local governments.
I suppose
Nigeria shall be a federation based on states and the Federal Capital Territory. So the most important question we still need to answer is the local government a tier of governance in Nigeria?
I suppose with this observation, this does reflect your observation from yesterday, which is the over-concentration of local governments in any of the states or in the zones. You may have noticed that, right?
Yes, and Amachi, there are 3 ways we could look at this. The first is to take a look at where exactly are local governments in Nigeria. The second will be to take a look at the largest local governments in Nigeria. And finally, the smallest local governments in Nigeria. And if we take a look at the concentration and the spread of local governments in Nigeria, we'll see that the Northwest, yes, has the most local governments, the 106 local governments, followed by the Southwest, the 137, and coming third is the 123 local governments. The Southeast has the least local governments. What's the implication of this and what's the summary? The summary is, yes, there are 774 local governments in Nigeria, which is not news, but 54%, Amachi, you heard me right, 54%, which is the majority of local governments are in northern Nigeria. However, northern Nigeria has the highest number of poor people. Northern Nigeria has the highest number of unemployed people. Northern Nigeria has the highest insecurity rate. In other words, Amachi, the quantity of local governments, the number of local governments in an area, does not determine if there will be growth and progress in the local government. What determines growth and progress is the quality of local governance. And if you take a look at even the 10 largest local governance areas in Nigeria, here's what you notice. You have some local governments that are even bigger than states. You have a Bogo local government in Niger State that is even bigger than Lagos State. Look at the smallest local government areas. Majority of them, of the smallest, and the southern location of Nigeria. So Lagos Island has a local government area of only 9 square kilometers. But if you go back to and concentrate on those top 10 largest local governance areas, it will let us understand that local governments historically were created not because of development. They were created based on political and military power reasons. Look at Batuan local government in Kwara State, 9,935 square kilometers. That is just one local government. That local government in Kwara State is bigger than even Bayelsa State. Look at Mashegu in Niger State, over 9,400 kilometers. That local government in Niger State is bigger than even Imo State. Yeah. So we have a situation in Marachi that, yes, we have 774 local governments, but a lot of these local governments are standalone, are larger than many states.
Yeah, but look at the quality of life in those local government areas, especially the ones that are large. Are they actually better? Or the ones that are smaller, do they actually make more impact on people's lives than others? And will financial freedom probably help?
Financial freedom, based on the evidence we've seen so far, is not likely to help. What financial freedom is likely to do is to create new power blocks, create new money blocks, and create new corruption blocks. What is likely to help is accountability at the local governance levels, transparency. We see a lot of monies that the states are collecting, and if we take a look at even all the monies the states have collected since 2015, it lets us understand why there's a lot of tussle between states and local governments. Since 2015, the evidence we have from the National Bureau of Statistics, if you take a look at that, it shows that since 2015, all the states, even without funds from the local governments, the states have shared 12 trillion naira. And yet, a lot of Nigerians can feel growth and development at the state level. So what the states are saying is, based on the Constitution, there isn't a legal place for the local government because it's not a tier of governance that the Constitution recognizes, and they want to collect the funds and administer it. What the local government is saying is that they need to collect the funds directly to be able to improve the administration of the funds. But in all of these discussions, what is still missing is accountability. And until we're able to answer the question of accountability, wherever the money goes, whether the money goes to you or it goes to me, what it just means is a change in power blocks, a change in the money blocks, and a change in corruption blocks.
Yeah, and the local government is the lowest level of governance, probably the most important, actually.
I'm not surprised that you have to run again. No surprises, Amarachi.
Yes, I do. Always a wonderful time with you, Babajide. Thanks again for coming.
The pleasure is all mine.
Still ahead on the news at 10, a mother of 14-year-old girl, Karen Hapaga, who died under questionable circumstances in Abuja, demands justice. Plus, commuters and residents lament poor state of Jalingo-Bukari Road following heavy flooding. Stay with us. Welcome back. River State Governor Nyesom Wike is calling for unity and love within families and communities, saying such values will engender a more peaceful society. The governor made the call during a Thanksgiving service to mark the elevation of the traditional stool of Rumeme, one of the kingdoms in his local government area, to first-class status by his administration. He also urged the paramount ruler of the kingdom to work to end the division among his subjects, and in the elevation of the stool recently, despite the pressure by his associates since he was elected governor, is divinely programmed to avert crisis in the kingdom.
Everybody cannot do well at the same time. There comes a time in one's life, things may be good for you today, things may be good for you tomorrow, the next time things may be bad for you. But what is important is whoever has not been doing well before you, after today, call back that your son, call back that your daughter, and say, look, you've not been doing well. But today, I'm going to church to thank God for what He has done for us, for the Muslim family, for the Roman kingdom. I want to forgive you. Come back as my son. Come back as my daughter. And I want to plead also that if you're also one of the sons, because I have told anybody who cares, no matter how bad your father may be, no matter how wicked your father may be, it is not acceptable to condemn your father in the public. It is not acceptable even before God. There's nothing wrong in you going to your father and telling your father, what you did yesterday, I don't think it was the right thing.
Commuters plying the ever-busy Jalingo-Wukari Expressway in Taraba State are lamenting the bad state of the highway, especially during heavy downpour. The resulting flood is said to have washed away the surrounding soil particles of a triple-cell boss culvert, causing gridlock for motorists.
This is Gadan Kuturu, meaning Crippled Man's Bridge, located in Mutumbiu, the headquarters of Gasol local government area of Taraba State. It's the latest to be hit by flood on the Jalingo-Wukari Federal Highway after a consistent record of same since 2018, with those still standing perhaps waiting for another heavy downpour before they give way, as they have been reported to have existed for more than 40 years. Though no life was lost, the road is the major access lane from Taraba State in the northeast to the south-south and the southeastern parts of the country, and also connects some parts of the northeast as well as Benue State in the north-central.
For about 6 to 7 hours, everything stands still. Nobody's going out, nobody's coming in. Even some of the government vehicles were stranded until when the youths came to their aid and blocked the holes with trees, sound and all the rest. We need the government to come and do the needful thing.
This heavy-duty vehicle tried to maneuver its way through the makeshift road, but failed, and its content, mainly grain, spilled onto the river, with a few bags recovered and many unaccounted for. At about a few minutes to 6 a.m., this vehicle fell off the road, spilling its content, thereby blocking the makeshift road. Hence, we had to double our efforts to create another one to allow for free traffic. Despite the presence of road safety officials controlling the traffic, youth in the area are bent on collecting tokens from commuters for their effort at making the makeshift road. The Federal Road Maintenance Agency, alongside the contractor of the road project, says though it is an emergency, effort is in top gear to work on the filled portions of the road.
It was a rain, accompanied with high velocity flood, and wash away a triple-cell boss culvert. You can watch the embankment that led to road cutoff. And FEMA is handy. We're here with our contractor. Loads of boulders, about 6 trucks of boulders are on the way. We are going to do a palliative measure to ensure that traffic continue to flow.
Oh, the FEMA let us do quickly to fill in this place. Let the motor can pass as soon as possible.
A few weeks ago, a similar situation played out in Jalingo, the state capital, and it's expected that the state and federal government collaborate effectively by carrying out preemptive measures to save lives and property, as well as preventing economic activities in the area from coming under threat.
A grieving mother is seeking justice for the death of her daughter. Mrs. Vimiga Vivian Apaga is mother to Karen Hapuch Apaga, a 14-year-old SS1 student of Premier Academy, Lube, Abuja, who died on June 22nd under questionable circumstances. The mother is alleging that her daughter, who had type 1 diabetes, died of sepsis caused by a condom allegedly left inside her private part by assailants who allegedly raped and sodomized her while she was in school. The school denies the accusation, saying Karen Hapuch was in good health when her mother picked her up from the school. Our correspondent, Kayla Megwa, investigates.
This is Karen Hapuch Akpaga, a 14-year-old SS1 student of Premier Academy, Abuja, who on the 22nd of June tragically died after going into a coma at a private hospital in Abuja. Our investigation begins in Karen's home located in Gwarimpa, Abuja. We're met by her mother, Vihimga Vivian Akpaga. She had been managing Karen's type 1 diabetes since she was diagnosed at the age of 9. According to her late daughter was raped and sodomized while she was still in the custody of her school, Premier Academy, Abuja. She claims her child was not healthy when she picked her up from school 2 days before her death. And when she was rushed to the hospital the day after she came home, a sperm-filled condom was found in Karen, which allegedly infected her, causing sepsis, which eventually killed her. As we go up the stairs into her bedroom, the house Karen lived in is still fresh with memories of her. Her clothes, her shoes, her diary with plans for the summer,
What did you say?
and her Bible, where she marked Job 3:25.
I have asked them for the medical report, but they said it's not for them to give me the medical report. I should go meet the doctor. The doctor said it was the police that authorized for the medical report. It's unethical that they're investigating and he will give me the medical report. I just want to know what happened to her and then prevent this from ever happening to another child in that school.
Human rights activists have been protesting Karen's death since it hit social media. Just like her mother, they believe the school is using the police to cover up what really happened to Karen while she was in school. And they've ambushed the executive director of the National Human Rights Commission about to conduct a different event here, asking that an independent investigation be carried out by the commission.
We will look into this, and if it warrants the processes you have outlined, the commission will do what is necessary.
The activists are led by this man, Mr. Lemi Uhegbe. Lemi tells us he's being followed and is afraid for his life and that of his family. At first it felt like he was just being paranoid. But just when we were set to leave the commission, Lemi is accosted by a masked woman with a security personnel who, upon seeing our cameras, refuse to identify themselves and vacate the scene.
Madam, would you like to introduce yourself so you can give us what your thoughts are? Let's find out what's going on.
We bring the accusations by the human rights activists alleging a cover-up by the police to the police headquarters.
The autopsy was conducted, and like I stated earlier, a matter of this kind will require expertise and procedures. So we await the outcome.
In search of more answers, we head to the school, Premier Academy. We are met by the school management headed by the school principal, Mr. Chris Akinsonwo.
From the report from the parent, it was said that a decayed condom was found, and then a live spermatozoa. We look at both of them. Do they really add up?
Unknown to the school authorities, prior to this visit by our crew, we'd been anonymously informed of the case of a physical and health education teacher who was suspended indefinitely in February of this year for sexual harassment.
A teacher was engaging students in some discussion that is not supposed to be. So at that point, we pick it up, it was investigated, and it was made to face disciplinary committee.
The school shows us CCTV footage showing Karen leaving the school to meet her mother 2 days before she died. They claim the video proves Karen was in perfect health before she was picked up by her mother. Karen was rushed to the hospital a day after she came home from school. The doctor who examined her has refused to speak to the press on the alleged condom found in her and what could have possibly caused her death. With the autopsy still pending, we decided to seek a second opinion from another doctor.
If the person's sugar is actually very, very high, that 2 days is even enough to take the person off. If the person has been passing urine, I hope that I don't expect to see any sperm in the urine.
back at the school were taken to Karen's hostel, where she slept and spent time with her classmates.
There are no winners or losers in this case. What's ultimately happened is that a child, a 14-year-old child with such a bright future, has died. A school conflicted with keeping its image of being the best boarding school in the FCT. A mother grieving for the death of her child. Ultimately, what everybody wants is that if this act really did happen to this girl, that the perpetrators are brought to justice and Karen's memory lives on. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Despite spending over 18 billion naira on different social responsibility programs over the last 3 years, the Redeemed Christian Church of God has promised to spend even more. That's according to the Intercontinental Overseer of the church's Christian Social Responsibility Program, Pastor Idowu Luyomade. He was speaking during an event to call for more support from the partners to increase ministry's impact base, which stands at over 130 million Nigerians.
When His Love Foundation, a charity arm of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, started, its aim was to cater to the welfare of members of the society globally. And it's been 3 years since then, and over 130 million Nigerians are said to have been impacted through its different programs in health, education, sports, and more. In spite of that achievement, the group is determined to cover more grounds.
HLF, His Love Foundation, will on Thursday, the 6th of August 2021, hand over another dialysis center called Enoch and Folu Adeboye Dialysis Center at Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital in Shagamu.
This, the organization explains, is in addition to some other medical intervention across the country.
In 2019, the foundation funded the setting up of dialysis center at UCH in Ibadan. In 2019 also, we donated the Enoch and Folu Adeboye ICU Center in Plateau State Teaching Hospital.
For more people to benefit from the intervention, the Christian Social Responsibility Organization is calling for more financial support.
With as little as 1,000 naira a month, I repeat, 1,000 naira a month, or 12,000 lump sum payment a year donation or more from a partner, we'll be able to do more for more people and impact more communities and transform more lives. And in addition to this, when a partner donates the sum of 12,000 naira lump sum at once, the person will enjoy a free personal accident insurance policy for the next 12 months.
Saying I'm joyful is an understatement. I'm excited. I am overjoyous because we would not have to watch patients die. We would have to now see patients live because of the relief that the facility is available in the hospital now. They don't have to go to outside facility and go through the stress and the trauma of getting care outside the hospital.
Beyond its impact in Nigeria, His Love Foundation says 70 million persons have benefited from its free feeding, and they have plans to take it to more people across tribes, religion, and race.
Nigerian showbiz industry practitioners have gathered to pay tribute to an industry icon, Larry Fasasi, popularly known as Sound Sultan in Lagos. The celebrities, Chubaba, Alibaba, Chigo, Vector, Il Bliss, and many more, all turned up to bid farewell to a legend who died on July 11th from a rare kind of throat cancer.
You don't learn it. You can learn what myself and I can be in.
It's a fully packed venue as friends, celebrities, colleagues and family members of iconic Nigerian singer, rapper, songwriter, actor and comedian Sound Sultan converged to bid him farewell. Images of the acclaimed entertainer beamed from all screens on stage as though he was set to headline a concert in his usual manner. However, today the legends of the industry are paying tributes to the man who gave over 20 years to the industry the only way they know how. With his wife and kids present alongside his brother Baba D, rappers, singers, comedians and other industry players take turns to show their last respect. Vector and Ilblis played a refixed version of his Fire, Azadas and XL performed Orobo before Azadas made an a cappella version of Say Me Well.
But after you flip past the borders, I say me well to the Father. Yeah.
Actress and comedian Princess, comedy boss Ali Baba and on-air personality Ike Osakio Dua couldn't hold back their emotions.
I didn't even cry at my mom's funeral. He was a good person. He came out for people. He was someone that you could count on.
A testimony of the peaceful nature of Sultan is reflected after an apparently unending dirty public fight between his close friends and colleagues, Tubaba and Blackface, ended on stage that night as both reunited with Faze to bring back the Plantation Boys Band for a closing command performance.
So many things I wish I could share with you. It's been so long since you've been gone.
Yes, Sound Sultan, even in death, has helped the industry score another big win. Little wonder why he is generally referred to as the Eighth Wonder.
Beyond our shores now, 9 tourists have died after the vehicle they were travelling in was hit by falling boulders in northern India. 3 others sustained injuries in the incident, which happened in the state of Himachal Pradesh earlier today. The Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, Jairam Thakur, has described the incident as heart-wrenching. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he was sending his heartfelt condolences to the families of those who lost their lives, adding that all those affected will be given access to a government relief fund. Some of those killed were from the capital, Delhi, and were visiting the popular tourist village Tiktal. It is not clear what caused the incident, but warnings of possible landslides had been issued due to predicted heavy rainfall. The UK's Health Minister Sajid Javid has apologised following a comment he made on social media, saying people should no longer cower from the coronavirus. In the comment, Mr. Javid said he had made a full recovery from COVID a week after testing positive. He later said it was a poor choice of word, and I sincerely apologise. Here's more from around the world in our Global Update. Global Update begins in Malaysia, where coronavirus cases have surpassed 1 million, according to data by the nation's health ministry. Amid an outbreak of the highly contagious Delta variant that has slammed its public healthcare system, the Southeast Asian nation is battling the peak of its pandemic, even as the government accelerated its vaccination program and imposed strict lockdown measures since June. South Korea says it will tighten social distancing rules across most of the country this week, warning that its worst ever COVID-19 wave might spread further in the summer holiday season. The curbs will be increased to level 3 on a 4-level scale, which will mean a 10 p.m. dining curfew and ban on gatherings of more than 4 people from Tuesday, July 27th, for 2 weeks for most areas except for small counties. Australia's New South Wales has logged its second highest daily increase in locally acquired COVID-19 cases of the year, amid fears of a wave of new infections after thousands of people joined an anti-lockdown protest. There were 141 COVID cases reported, down from 163 a day earlier. The outbreak, which began in June, is being driven by the highly contagious Delta variant of the virus and has now infected 2,081 people in New South Wales. There are 43 people in intensive care, up from 37 a day earlier. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the United States has surpassed 34.4 million as of Saturday, with the death toll hitting 610,720 according to the Center for Systems Science and Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. Specifically, the country's case count rose to over 34.4 million as of Saturday. The Tigers head coach Mike Brown admits the team still have a long way to go following their opening defeat to Australia in the basketball event of the Tokyo Olympic Games. His post-match reaction to the defeat, Coach Brown says because the team defeated USA and Argentina, everyone thinks they have arrived when there is still a lot to do. The reigning African champions lost 67-84 to the world number 3 and will return to the court on Wednesday when they face Germany to rekindle hope of advancing from the group phase. Australia's Patty Mills finished the game as the highest scorer with 25 points, 4 rebounds and 6 assists, while Nigeria's top performer was Josh Okoye with 11 points, 2 rebounds and 3 assists. Finally, the People's Republic of China have maintained the lead at the top of the medals table with 6 gold medals, 1 silver and 4 bronze, with a total of 11 medals at the end of Day 5 events. The Chinese are closely trailed by host Japan with 6 medals, comprising 5 gold and 1 silver. The United States are on 3rd spot with 4 gold, 2 silver and 4 bronze medals. In Africa, Tunisia is the only African team that have won medals at the end of Day 5 with a gold and a silver. And the main news again, 28 abducted students of Bethel Baptist High School Kaduna today regained their freedom after spending 20 days in captivity. The students have been reunited with their parents. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.